Today on the LA Food Podcast, the podcast equivalent of a celeb shot during beer pong if the person shooting the celeb shot was Caitlin Clark instead of the raver you kinda sorta recognize from your poli-sci class. Shout out Marco. The Matt Rodbard is in the Father Saul chair today, dear listener. Matt's the editor-in-chief of Taste and the host of one of the nation's best food podcasts. This is Taste. We sat down at Los Feliz in Chinatown and got into some meaty topics, including his meals at Sqirl After Dark and Max and Helen's, the rise of a pretty unique food media startup, and an ambitious new app that's trying to become your one-stop shop for discovering restaurants. In Chef's Kiss Big Miss, we get into the Inglewood restaurant that scored major James Beard honors, a hot take on diners from one of New York's most of-the-moment chefs, and the escalation of what are rapidly becoming known as the Reservation Wars. A reminder that the LA Food Podcast is part of the Acquired Taste Media family, and it is a family, dear listener. Please be sure to listen to our sister podcast, Taqueando with Bill Esparza. This week, Bill spoke with Chef Oso Campos, who Bill credits with starting the modern taco movement. That's available everywhere, and it's one hell of an episode. As always, I'm your host, Luca Servodio, and without further ado, it's time to chow down. Today's episode of the LA Food Podcast is presented by our friends at MVA.wine. I recently sat down with Laurent Verns and Tito Malega, the people behind MVA.wine, and my first reaction was, wait, why isn't everyone doing wine like this? They treat wine the way we treat food on this show. It's all about discovery, not the obvious places, the tiny producers, the bottles you only find when someone points you in the right direction. And here's how it works. They gather at a farmhouse in Tuscany and blind taste 50 or 60 wines. Every bottle that they taste has to get a unanimous yes in order to be included in the collection. Only 6 make the cut. Oh, and every time they go to Tuscany for those tastings, they bring 2 members along. All expenses paid. That could be you, dear listener. The wines that make it come from incredible producers whose bottles rarely leave their region. Wines you simply can't find in stores in LA or anywhere. Membership of MVA.wine is capped at 600 people. And for LA Food Podcast listeners, the first 20 people who sign up with code LAFood get $50 off their first collection. All you gotta do is go to MVA.wine and use code LAFood. That's MVA.wine, code LAFood. You can thank me later. Dear listener, I am stoked for today's episode. Matt Rodbard truly is one of the nicest guys in food. I mean, he has had absolutely no reason to be as supportive of this podcast as he has been, but he has always been such an amazing supporter and sounding board for us. After he had me on his show, This Is Taste, I thought, why the hell haven't I had him on our show? So I invited him on, and being the gracious man he is, he said yes. As I was drafting questions for him, however, it kind of dawned on me, Matt has a really interesting life, and he's done some really cool things in food media, and at some point I would love to interview him on those things. However, I just thought he would be really good at stepping into Father Saul's shoes and just straight up co-hosting the show. So that's what I asked him to do, and of course Matt was down. So what you're about to hear in just a little bit is Matt and I sitting down at Los Feliz over some pizza and just doing the show like Saul and I would, all of the same beats, but it's Matt Rodbard instead of Saul. I think that's kind of special. In fact, if I was Saul, I would be fucking scared right now. Maybe he shouldn't have gotten married and taken 2 weeks off this podcast, okay? Maybe he'll start reconsidering his life decisions. I wanted to do a couple of housekeeping items before we get to our portion with Matt. First of all, I just wanted to remind you that we announced this last week on the podcast, but next week we are actually unveiling a new podcast, kind of. It's called Couch Potatoes, and it's going to be a food TV companion show. Now, a lot of you know that we love to talk about food TV on this. We've talked about Top Chef ad nauseum. We talked about Next Gen Chef at one point. We talked about 5-Star Chef, a show that happened on Netflix that quietly went away and never came back. And of course, we did a whole spin-off podcast on The Bear. I've gotten feedback from some listeners that it's not their thing. They like when we do all of the food news stuff. They like when we do food reviews. They like when we do interviews. But the food TV stuff isn't for them. In the same breath, there's a bunch of people out there that do like the food TV stuff. A lot of you Top Chef freaks out there, a lot of you the Bear people. So what we've decided is to basically roll out an extra episode a week when we do talk about food TV. And we're going to not call it the LA Food Podcast. We're going to call it Couch Potatoes. Thank you, thank you. That was my idea. Saul barely even rubber stamped it. So in your feed every once in a while, earlier in the week than Friday, you'll see a different show pop up under the same feed as the LA Food Podcast, and it's going to be called Couch Potatoes, and we'll be talking about some sort of food TV. The first episode that we're doing is coming out probably on Tuesday of this next coming week, and we'll be doing episode 1 of the new season of Top Chef, as well as our annual Top Chef draft. It's going to be Father Saul, it's going to be me, and we're joined by Bits Nicholas of the Compliments to the Chef podcast. We do our quintessential draft that we do every year, and it's a doozy. This year, the champ, Jesse Eats, had to step down, so it's LA Food Pod versus Compliments to the Chef. The battle of the greats. You're not going to want to miss it. And frankly, I already watched the first episode of Top Chef, and I think it's going to be a killer season. I think that they're feeling the pressure from Padma's show, that show that's coming out on CBS called America's Culinary Cup or something like that. And I think they're really revving their engines. I think they really want to keep their crown as the best food TV show. So if that's your thing, that's coming. If it's not your thing, no problem. You can keep listening to the LA Food Podcast. Last thing I wanted to do before we dive into our interview with Matt is I gave you a challenge last week, dear listeners. I said, keep leaving us those 5-star reviews. It really helps us. But, in the comments on Apple, feel free to get a little bit more unhinged. Be a little bit meaner to us. And thank God some of you did it, okay? First one seemed like this person was kind of testing, what was a little bit mean, what was a little unhinged. And they get there. So this one is from CB Stone. It says, a food podcast where the host knows what they are talking about. It's not dumbed down, but it's still inclusive. Well, despite our best efforts. It's of the moment and hyper-local, but keeps the bigger picture top of mind. Luca and Saul do the work, so I trust every review. This is the part where he got me, though. He says, but I refuse to call Saul father. That's weird. Also cut my pizza. I don't work. That is hilarious. That is a reference to a review, I think, that I just left, which was of Ronin, and I applauded them for not cutting their pizza in true Neapolitan fashion. Clearly, this person doesn't like that. Hey, more power to you, man. If you like your Neapolitan pizza soggy in the middle because you've cut them and all of the juices run to the middle, that's on you. That's on you. Okay, that was a good one, but this one I think is even better. This one is from somebody who goes by the name of Wannabe Food Podcaster. Okay, it's 5 stars, all right? It says, okay, I'll bite. Episode Chef's Kiss, giving Celine its flowers. Episode Big Miss, dissing the mustard leaf course, which is objectively incorrect. Life Chef's Kiss, Father Saul making it official. Life Big Miss, watching yourself run a red light on repeat. And then it says in parentheses, in case I need to say this podcast is awesome and everybody should listen to it. Thank you, Wannabe Food Podcaster. And by the way, if you are actually a food podcaster and you're interested in having a show, bring it to Acquired Taste, buddy. Look, all I can say for this is Celine is an incredible restaurant. The mustard leaf course did not hit, and I stand by it, okay? It just flavor-wise wasn't there. Experientially, though, it was totally there. And story-wise of the overall meal, it was phenomenal. Now, Life Chef's Kiss, Father Saul making it official, yes, and it was such a chef's kiss. In fact, when I gave his mom a hug and I said I never thought this would happen, she looked at me with the most serious glare you've ever seen, and she says, Me neither. She was concerned. So she was happy to. Life Chef's Kiss. And finally, Life Big Miss. I want to correct the record on this, okay? Watching yourself run a red light on repeat. The reason I did that was to check the tape. I wanted to see if I had actually ran a red light. And you slow it down. You watch it frame by frame. And I confirmed that I did, in fact, run a red light. Now, did I enjoy watching it? Did I have way too much fun doing it? Sure. Is that my toxic trait? Absolutely. But there was a reason behind what I did, okay? Keep leaving us these reviews, guys. Seriously, it's fantastic. We love to read them. There were also some other comments on Spotify, and there's a real utility to it. It helps us get the podcast to more people, and it makes the show more interactive and fun, which is all we want in life. We just want to be fun. Anyways, thanks for your patience with my bullshit. We'll be back right after the break, or I don't even think there's a break. We'll be right back with none other than the Bard himself, Matt Rodbard. I'm so excited because sitting in the Father Saul chair today is none other than an actual podcaster, Matt Rodbard of Taste, and This Is Taste podcast. Matt, how the hell are you?
Luca, honored to be here. I'm sorry, Sal. I'm only a replacement for the day. You have not been replaced. Love what you do. I really love your show. I listen to it. I learned so much about LA. Appreciate what you do.
By the way, the job is yours. If you want it, I should just put that on the table right now.
Dude, I love hanging with Sal, by the way. We were catching those drinks at Grand Central Market that one time.
Yeah. He's a fun guy. He just got married, so he's going to become a little less fun.
Oh, okay. Well, marriage is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I support it. Congrats, Sal.
Yeah. Congratulations, Saul. You did it, man, when none of us ever thought it would happen. Icebreaker question for you, Matt. You're obviously in Los Angeles. We'll get into where we're seated in just a moment. How do you get around when you're in LA? Do you drive? Do you Uber?
Dude, drive always.
Yeah.
I've been coming to LA for 20 plus years, and I came here before Uber. Obviously, I was hitting those rad taxi drives, but I'm a lifelong driver, and I'm making mileage. I think one time I put in like 750 miles one time in LA.
That's serious.
Yeah,
you were like SGVing and stuff.
SGV. I was going up to Ojai, going down to San Diego. I have to drive. Yeah, and I drive all the time to New York, so.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, because you don't live in the city, right?
I lived in the city for 20 years, but I live in the Hudson Valley just outside. But I'm driving back and forth, but I'm hitting those mean streets.
Good.
Have to say, LA drivers are so much better than New York drivers.
I think we get a bad rap, but we do it so much that like we should be good.
Listen, you are truly the best. Chicago are even worse than New York, and we can talk about driving all day. But I honestly think there's something about everyone has been raised to like kind of coexist on the highway.
Yeah.
And there's just like the sunshine does something. There's obviously road rage, but I'm not seeing it.
No.
You never see the like flip offs and all that stuff.
No. Well, nobody here has a JOB, so they're not trying to get anywhere.
Right. There's like no rush. That's true.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I'm so excited to have you here, man. We are seated in one of my favorite pizzerias. I wanted to show you something that was quintessentially LA, so I took you to Los Sorteds.
Yeah.
Now, you've never heard of this place, right?
It was off my radar. I have to admit. LA's pizza scene is it's truly one of the country's best. Daniel Holzman's a good friend of mine and writing partner, so I'm a big Danny Boys guy, and I've been following his career here. But that's just the start of it, and to find a new pizza style. I mean, I love Quarter Sheets, what they're doing there, what Aaron is doing, and Hannah. So I think it's a great pizza town. So to have this new entry in my pizza brain and knowledge, I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get some pizza after we eat. So in the meantime, I just want you to look around at what people are ordering, so you can kind of like get a sense. But they've got a really cool slice here called the Mamba. Obviously,
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, Tommy is like the quintessential LA sports fan.
Yeah.
And he did research based off like a video that he saw online one time Kobe Bryant talking about his favorite pizza slice ever.
Okay.
And it was a pizza slice from, I think it was like Fashion Island in Newport Beach or something like that.
No.
And so what Tommy did is he like tried to do the research to find out exactly how that slice was made so he could approximate it as close as possible.
That's smart. And Luca, you and Kobe share a lot because of your Italian.
Correct.
Your childhood's living in Italy, but being mostly LA based.
I thought you were just going to say based on our basketball skills.
Oh, yeah. You're pretty sick. Yeah. With the crossover. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can dunk a little better than he could, but it's not.
No, but you got a lot. You and Kobe share a lot.
Yeah. Hopefully not everything. But,
no, not everything. Let's.
There's that. Well, hey, first thing we do on every episode of the podcast is recent eats. I want to hear about where you've been eating since you've been in LA. First of all, how long have you been? 48 hours?
No, 24. I landed about 24 hours ago. I try to make it here between 3 and 5 times a year. I wrote 2 books about Korean food, so I spent a lot of time here the past 15 years. And it's truly my favorite city in America. And I live in New York. I love LA. I love the people. I have so many friends here.
Got a huge smile on my face when you said that.
And it's because the people really care deeply about food. We could go on forever. So I'm always looking for new restaurants for our podcast research and also just my own enjoyment. But I'm also going out, of course, K-Town. And I have to talk about like Hanje Park, R.I.P., Soban. I mean, I'm always going South Bay or SGV for Chinese food and tacos. But like this trip, I'm doing some pods this week, so I wanted to hit some new spots. I have to say, I had a meeting with a friend at Erewhon. So
No way. Had you been before?
many times.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure that we weren't witnessing an Erewhon virginity being taken.
No, but I had the 3 veg salad combo plus the coconut cake.
Hell yeah. That was the coconut cake you posted. For some reason, I thought you went crazy and got the Tom Cruise one.
Oh, no. That would be amazing, though.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know anyone who's ever tasted it?
No, I don't actually. I feel like I've seen an influencer I know taste it, but I never talked to him directly about how it was.
I want to hear about this cake. I feel like it's vastly, his acting career overrated. Extremely overrated.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like you can't make coconut cake that good that everyone is so excited about. You're obviously just excited about getting the mail from Tom Cruise.
I just love the idea that he found something he loves so much that he's like, I want to share it with everybody.
Listen, the man seems quite generous. It's a nice token. And of course, it's a food gift, which a lot of celebrities, they don't really know anything about food. They're kind of robots like that way. So I appreciate Tom and the coconut cake gift every holiday season.
Look, if it's between that and an L. Ron Hubbard book, I'm taking the coconut cake.
Listen, I like my podcast being on the air, so I ain't gonna go there. I ain't touching that subject.
Fair enough. We don't care on this podcast.
Right, you're fearless.
We are.
That's like your extra episode is gonna be just straight Scientology debunking.
It is. I should say right now that if the Church of Scientology wants to sponsor this podcast, we're open.
You're open. Do you think the Scientologists go to Found Oyster?
Oh. Where else are they going to go? Saffy's? Come on now.
It's like a rotation between Saffy's and Found Oyster.
Yeah, not a bad rotation, actually.
Really good little block there.
You could do worse. Do worse. So where have you been eating?
Okay, so I went to Erewhon, of course, and then I got to go to Sqirl.
Okay.
I don't know Jessica really that well, Jessica Koslow. She's been on the podcast. We've had conversations, but I wouldn't consider her really a friend. So it was really just going in as unbiased, and she's a really beloved person in the industry and lots of friends and family. Lots of friends have been showing up, and so I was cautious about all the hyperbole around it. So Jessica, there's a lot of amazing vibes around Sqirl doing dinner. But honestly, I wanted to really, really, really go in with an open mind because I'm trying to do my job. So with that,
you were a big fan of the daytime.
So exactly. Great call. So I love daytime. I've been going there probably since they opened.
Yeah.
The grain bowls, I think putting sorrel into a grain bowl was revolutionary and copied 10 times, 20 times, 30 times over.
It's actually crazy to think they started that.
Yeah, they started that. I mean, that combination of sorrel with grain. I mean, certainly, at least in the mainstream, it was really her idea. And of course, those toasts with the ricotta and those amazing jams. So I've always loved Sqirl. I always enjoyed going to that part of LA, which is kind of the in between neighborhood. I'm sorry if you live there. The Virgil Village, I guess you call it. So I really have enjoyed it, but it was really curious about dinner. It blew my mind. It exceeded expectations.
What did you eat?
I mean, I had so many things, but honestly, holistically, there's no way this restaurant's only a few weeks old. Clearly, Jessica has made the restaurant that she has been thinking about forever.
Yeah.
And she is a student of the game, Jessica Koslow. She is a huge restaurant fan, a fan of history. Going back to her time in Georgia, Bacchanalia, she's worked at some of the finest restaurants and she understands what makes a great restaurant. And I think she really took her time with this. Obviously, in LA, you guys have been thinking about this and talking about it for years. So when she went in, even into soft opening, you knew that restaurant would be fully formed. Couple notes about the food. I went and I was doing light work because I knew I was doing a double.
A bang bang?
A bang bang. I'll go there.
Are you okay with the term bang bang or is that offensive?
I love it. It's great. It totally makes sense. It's a great use of the term bang bang. So I knew I was gonna have a little bite afterwards, and I was on New York Times, so it was a little. Even though we dined at 6, it was a little later. Okay, so the shrimps, squid, shrimp. Think squid, think shrimp.
Okay.
So shrimp chorizo stuffed into baby squids with a beautiful saffron aioli, which, that did saffron aioli, you've seen saffron mayo on many, many, many menus.
Yeah.
But between the texture, the really velvety texture and the deep saffron flavor, it was an incredible pairing there.
Yeah.
A little bit of lime on top. Had the pork neck with, she does these house-made tortillas with it. So it's a tortilla plus cuts of pork. There's some nixtamal fennel in there.
Wow.
And I really, really liked that dish. Like it was really, 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 I think like perfectly cooked medium, like really, really great pork dish. And like the desserts were really solid.
You'd expect that.
Yeah, of course.
Did jam make an appearance?
Not in the desserts, but I should have picked up a jar. By the way, I buy her jams; they're great. But I think it's a fully formed restaurant, and I can't wait to go back because cool thing about that restaurant is it's choose your own adventure kind of style. So I could go back tonight and have like a whole fish, 2 salads, a number of the I could have had the chicken, which was out, it was 86, but could do this chicken as well. And to me, a great restaurant is one you can go many times a month or even once a month and have different meals and experiences. Lastly, the service was really, really good because they like did the job and got the fuck out.
Yeah.
Honestly, the spiels, the like overly friendliness, LA kind of does that a lot.
We do. I think it's because we're trying to be fancy sometimes.
Agree. There's a little bit of maybe overtrained, maybe like people coming in and saying, this is how they do in the big city.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a big city. But
the bigger city.
What I loved about Sqirl's evening service was that they were doing plate swaps every course. And like, so we probably had 7 plate swaps with only 4 dishes, which is crazy to think about, but it actually happened because they just kept refreshing because of the way it was coursed out. And also didn't ask us anything. Didn't inquire.
Except for like dietary restrictions?
They didn't even ask us that, which maybe was a goof, but fine.
Yeah.
It came out if that was true. But honestly, it's like, that's my favorite service when it's effortless, when you're not in the way. That's you answer questions. Loved it. I highly recommend.
Saul would love that. He hates it when I get into too deep conversations with servers, which is something I do. So
I think you're a nice guy, and like also you want to know what's going on for like your own knowledge. You're passionate about food, but also you want to do the podcast. So
yeah.
But yeah, it can be a little cringe. My wife tomorrow thinks the same way. Like we call it like the prosciutto boards. She's like, "Are you being a prosciutto board guy again?" Like, she actually referred to the kind of history of calling people who are into food prosciutto boards was because the message boards of food. She called them the prosciutto boards.
That actually is brilliant. That needed a name. And I think
that's the name.
The name it should have always had.
If you're like extra about food, you're a prosciutto board.
Yeah.
And then I just came from Max and Helen's. I just literally drove from Max and Helen's to here.
Okay, this is the big one because it's been the talk of the town.
I mean, I have to say I had breakfast. It was
how long did you wait?
0 minutes, and also so it's a Tuesday morning, and I observed that there were seats pretty much the entire time until 11:30.
Wow, okay.
Or 11 as I left. So, and I was told this like weekday you can walk in.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and if not, it's a pretty quick wait.
Yeah.
So that's facts about Max and Helen's during the day, during the week. Really simply, I had these really. I think the Max eggs are really, really, really like lightly cooked the way I do them at home.
Are they scrambled?
Yeah, they're scrambled. Yeah, they're scrambled, but they're very, very runny in the best way, and they're really yellow. And I love like that's the perfect like low heat way to scramble eggs. My buddy was having a French omelet with it was Nancy Silverson style with like whole sheets of ham rolled in. I had the waffle. Okay, let me give you some bars on the waffle.
That's the like viral item.
Yeah, it's very good. And I think the reason it's good is it's a malted waffle, but it has this maple butter, and they know exactly how much to put on it, so you can spread each of the 4 quadrants equally. It melts down. Like skip the syrup.
I was gonna ask you that.
Skip the syrup. I pushed that away. And Phil was there. I've known Phil for years. I've dined. I think I went to Chengdu Taste and went to some tacos. I've been dining out with Phil for a long time, and has been just a really good friend. And I'm so happy for him to have this restaurant.
Got it.
Lily was there with her husband, who I met, and it's a family business.
It really is.
They may be not the typical family, right? But they still they're there, and it's clearly there's really, really nice energy in there. I would absolutely go back. And I had the Lily hot chocolate, which reminded me a lot of City Bakery hot chocolate. This legendary place is on 18th Street in New York. Every December, they would do a hot chocolate festival. Okay. And then they were known as having the thickest, richest hot chocolate in the city. This was like a real callback to that.
I'm a thick hot chocolate boy myself.
Yeah.
In Rome, there was it's a spot that expanded. I think they even had a spot in New York at one point. It's called Grom. G-O-R-M.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that gelato is so good.
Is it still in New York?
Yeah, there's still a Grom.
Because there was one here in Malibu, but it closed down, unfortunately.
It's a good gelato.
But I would never go for the gelato. I would always go for the hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Thick-ass hot chocolate.
Yeah.
They had one that was John Duya hot chocolate.
Yeah, definitely.
House-made whipped cream. That was my shit. So I'm so excited for her hot chocolate.
It's great. Luca, where have you been? This is my Sal. This is me doing Sal.
Saul asks fewer questions than that. I think that was your first question you asked, but he asks even fewer than that. I've been to one place in particular that I wanted to pick your brain on, and that is Holbox.
Oh, cool.
You've been to Holbox?
Yeah.
Okay, so love Holbox.
Yeah.
Was my first time going in a hot minute, and I mean, it's as good as ever, right? Like, the lines have gotten insane.
I've heard. Yeah.
We waited probably from low to go an hour.
Okay.
Which, the only annoying part about that is when you go to a restaurant where you used to not to have to wait an hour, and now you do.
Yeah. That's always the pain point of the success of restaurants. Yeah. And it was Gilberto working the line.
He was not working the line, but he was all around. He was talking to customers.
He's a great guy.
He's so hands-on.
Love that guy, yeah.
And it happened to be actually the 25th anniversary of Mercado La Paloma opening period.
Nice.
So Holbox was not open at the time, but his other restaurant, Chichen Itza, was.
Chichen Itza's great.
So we stopped there and got a flan after. Fantastic.
I love that.
But the thing that I wanted to ask you about, and this is because just yesterday, Holbox and Noma did a pop-up together.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I saw the comment section, and people were not happy about it.
Okay.
Because Noma's getting a lot of blowback here.
Yeah.
Have you been following this at all?
I have. I've definitely covered Noma for years and interviewed Renee. Know him. I think the one thing I'll say is the $1,500 blowback. I understand where it comes from. It's a crazy amount of money to spend on anything that's like a hotel room, like a bottle of wine, like
a Taylor Swift concert.
All of those things, like these things that are disposable, these things that are fleeting. I could see certainly why someone would be very upset by that at the worst case, or just like gives them a thought. So I understand the blowback. I will say it's, if you dine in LA, in New York, in many cities, and you include a tasting menu, a wine pairing or beverage pairing, and tax and tip gratuity, there are many places where it'll cost more than $1,500.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're doing like a premium flight, and they don't really get spoken about.
No.
And so I think that part, I push back on that level of pushback. I think that for many people, this is really what they want. Obviously, demand was really high, and it wasn't just the picture you may have in your head for a Noma diner. It's a lot of people have been saving up money for this. It was announced months ago. A lot of people really couldn't go to Copenhagen and wanted to try the food. But people have anniversaries and birthdays and holidays coming up or already passed. I feel like by pushing back or even posting about why that's outrageous and crazy, you're kind of taking a little of the joy out of those people who really have spent this. They want to do it.
I never thought about it that way. That's a really good point.
I think the other stuff about Renee, I always look to my peers in the media to cover it rigorously.
Yeah.
And I look to the LA Times, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal. I'm just like naming all the papers right now. I can name them all. Actually, I probably couldn't name them all because it would take like 5 minutes. Because
I think you just did it.
Yeah, sorry, 5 seconds. Yeah. So like I see some of the comments. I've seen some posts. But I think for me to really fully understand the scope of anything that has happened at Noma, I really place on the responsibility of the journalists who have the resources to cover these beats.
Totally.
And I haven't read anything. My point is, like, there's been nothing published about any of this.
Yeah. So there's this guy, right? And that's really what the comments are about at this point. If anything, if this was an intentional behind the scenes maneuver by Noma to get the like attention off their price and onto something else, kudos to them, but I don't think it was. But the guy's doing a press conference in Los Angeles. Okay. I think next week or something. Okay. I think I'm going to be going to that and speaking to him. So
I think it's really good, Luca, and you're part of the ecosystem. I mentioned the big names because they're resources.
Yeah.
But for you to go ask them point blank and maybe go in with your great questions as you always are and research, I'd love to listen to that episode. And I'll just say personally, I really like Rene Redzepi. Yeah. I really, really like him. I think that Rene Redzepi has done so much for food, has mentored thousands of people along the way. And in terms of paying farmers and giving credit to the source, to changing fine dining creative dynamics, to creating these spaces, give him full credit. I think the MAD Symposium is an important function, and I understand why he may have a very punchable face, and why people don't like Rene Redzepi. I have personal interactions with him, and I say that those people are wrong. I really respect Rene. So,
fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm going to ask questions. I think that's a great point. There has not been anything written about it.
No.
And people are definitely acting like judge and jury right now.
Yeah,
which is
a little bit.
Crazy that would happen on the internet.
Yeah, wild to speculate that there would be loosely reported or even false information spread online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last recent eat I want to talk about real quick is I had brunch at a spot called Mirate in Los Feliz.
Oh, cool. Great.
Do you know Max Reese?
Familiar. Tell me.
So he's the bartender, bar director at Mirate and Daisy Margarita Bar, which he opened in the San Fernando Valley.
Cool.
Just like an incredible guy. He's done so much for like mezcal in the United States. I was inspired to go there because I recently spoke to him at Daisy Margarita Bar. And I was like, you know what spot I don't go to enough? Mirate. It's hot. I wanted something like roughly ceviche-esque for lunch or for brunch.
Yeah.
Went there. They only had one ceviche on the menu, but I ordered these like really good lamb taquitos.
Oh,
and
love the combination. I love lamb fat.
Yes.
Lamb fat is one of the most underrated proteins.
I agree.
The belly or even the bacon, the fat of lamb. Yeah,
I agree. We should be using it more in everything.
Yeah.
And then they also had a huevos rancheros like I had never seen before. It basically had like 2 tortillas on the bottom with like a spread of beans, some cheese, which I think was like panilla cheese.
Yeah.
And then on top, it had the eggs and like really well cooked steak. It just kind of reminds you, like, my wife looked at it and immediately was like, that's not huevos rancheros. But as you know, Matt, different parts of Mexico, they do things differently, right?
Yeah.
This is somebody's huevos rancheros. And I'll tell you what, it really worked for me. So Mirate, if you're ever in the mood for a brunch in Los Feliz,
I love this, Luca. Tell me, does LA have a big brunch scene?
No, it does not. And my wife always laments this because she used to live in New York.
Oh, there you go.
And
big brunch scene.
Also, like, I feel like maybe we used to have one because I've seen Vanderpump Rules. Like, I know what happened in the early 2010s. But I don't think we do that anymore. So it's more so like, where are you going to go to eat?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And there are spots that still attract crowds, like Cafe Telegrama, Max and Helen's on the weekend.
Yeah.
But it's not like boozy brunch. You sit there for 4 hours and like party with sparklers.
I always loved A-Frame's brunch.
Oh, yeah.
They had a really good brunch
that was
back
a good
in the
one.
day. That was a great restaurant.
That's got to be on your list for next time. Broken Spanish Comedor. It's opened in the same space.
Good call. Yeah. I love it.
Hey, maybe we'll go together. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, Matt, that was a great recent Eat segment. Now I want to ask you about a couple of the recent interviews you've had because they got into some really interesting topics that we love talking about in this podcast, aka food media.
Yeah.
So the first one I would like to ask you about is actually your interview with Emma Orlo of Caper Media.
Yeah.
Which we shamefully have not talked a lot about Caper Media on this podcast.
Not shamefully. They haven't existed that long.
Yeah. They haven't, but I feel like everybody in food media is so excited when something new happens.
Yeah.
So I feel shame for myself.
or talk a lot of shit behind the scenes.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's excitement in its own way.
Yeah, exactly. Excitement isn't always positive. So there's always a very active, captive audience for new food media entrants.
Yes.
Amongst members of food media.
Right. We're all watching, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So for the folks who haven't heard about it, because we've derelicted our duties, what is Caper Media?
Caper, from my reading of the publication, they again haven't been posting that long, is a really unique entrant into food media. I support it. And broadly, having run Taste for a decade and worked in food media for almost 20 years, seen a lot of publications come and go.
Yeah.
And I've lived through the blog war era, like Grub Street versus Time Out New York versus Eater back in New York in the 2009
you should
era.
Write a book on it.
Somebody should. Yeah. I think it'd be good, actually. I think it'd be a good something. I think there's definitely some great like oral history there.
Yeah.
Call me if you want to collab. I think for Hollywood, actually, there's like something interesting from that era.
I think so too. Like talk, especially like with the Eater's Death Watch and all the like stuff that caused behind the scenes.
It was a crazy time and a really rich text to tap into. So I've seen a lot of media come and go. So with all of that, I support all media, new entrants into food media, including the LA Food Podcast. Like,
dude, I gotta say this, Matt's so supportive. He's such a nice guy.
And listen, my level of support I'm always supportive, but it varies depending on quality. And when I see something I like, I recognize it because we all need each other. It's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
We all can succeed together. And I just love this entry. It's by a couple of folks who worked at Puck, which, LA knows, of course, Matt Bellany and Dylan Byers and all those guys, Lauren Sherman, really, really personality-driven newsletters. They're doing it with food. And it was needed. I think with like the Substack era and all this interest in newsletters, combined with this hiring of these 3 terrific journalists who come from variety of backgrounds. Emma coming from Eater, Chris Crawley coming from New York Magazine, and Annie coming from the art world. Armstrong. They're all unique voices and unique talents. So what they're covering, and this is something that I reported on, talking to Emma, and also met the 2 founders recently and got to chat with them. They really wanted to focus on the industry.
Yeah,
and it's going to be interesting to see how that nets out. So they're writing about these topics that maybe not every general consumer food fan who's listening to your podcast who just wants to know where the great slices are, where the bad slices are, or
we are for the masses.
The 100 slices are. This is going to dig into chef culture, purveyors, and drama amongst restaurant transactions, and I'm here for it. I think it's really smart. And Emma shared on that episode just kind of like a little bit of the background of it and how it's each of the journalists are founding partners and they have equity in it, which I think is a cool progressive way to launch media.
That is cool.
And I think the strongest piece so far was a piece Annie wrote last week about En Brasserie, this kind of legendary Tribeca restaurant that had been around for 20 years and basically was booted out of their list.
Charles Namba of Tsubaki Camellia also used
came
to
from
work
there.
Yeah.
Makes that tracks. I think that was a really cool progressive kind of Japan, but through American lens kind of stylish restaurant that Tsubaki is all about. And that piece talked about how the owners were booted from their lease, and now Daniel Hum from EMP is taking over the space. And
that's a cool story.
And what I love about Caper is like you get someone like Annie who can just get drop in like eighth graph in Marina Abramovich quote, just like can call up Marina and just get a quote. I think that's the kind of sourcing and access that these publications like Caper need.
I like that.
These deeply reported, sourced stories. So I'm here for it. I really like it. I support their launch.
Yeah, what's interesting is I've obviously been racking my brain about how the fuck do you do food media, and I've always thought like, oh my god, I feel like it's become too insidery. That's what I used to say. I was always like, because I think in the past a lot of the eaters of the world made their name by being like insidery, like giving an insider peek. And one thing that I think you guys hit the nail on the head on your podcast was that it feels like a lot of food reporting has been in a bit of a rut because it's all opening, closing, opening, closing. And sure, maybe that gets the clicks and that's what drives. But like, I've actually seeing how Caper is approaching this, I totally think there's room for that. Like, I don't think that exists right now. And it makes me excited to see how they're going to expand beyond New York, because that's the thing, right? It sounds like the level of reporting and sourcing that they're going to be doing, it requires kind of like having your ear to the ground.
Maybe they should dial up a young food entrepreneur with a podcast to work on their LA site.
My phone number is 323.
No, and I'll close in to say, honestly, I think right now where we're at with food culture and the interest in food through food media, I think we're all kind of prosumers, to use a corny term. We, as a general population, the folks listening right now, you guys know a lot of, I'm talking directly to you. You know more than people did 10 years ago. And I think to cover things deep, not wide, is what real food fans and fans who consider this type of writing or podcast production to be part of their daily habit of consumption because they're just generally interested in food.
For sure.
There's just a need for that, and Caper is going to really scratch that itch.
I think it's kind of insane to be like, we're never going to do lists or reviews or anything for like a food publication, just because it feels like It's almost like 11 Madison Park being like, we're not going to serve meat, you know?
Yeah. Which probably like then they'll probably do it for 2 years and then have a list.
Yeah. Which is like the 10 craziest stories we covered this year.
Probably they'll do some kind of numbers on it, but I think that their point was that they're not in the trend, like the opening and closings game per se. They want to expand beyond it.
Yeah. Last thing on Caper I wanted to ask you about. I think you actually said this in your David Cho interview, which you're going to get to in a moment, but you said we're living in a post-traffic world.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It's completely true. And if you just look at media now, traffic is page views, right? When you click on something, an ad fires and somebody makes a penny or $1 or whatever.
Yeah.
And we did things as editors to create that click. Like a lot of things that we regret. Many people regret.
You're not prouder?
And there's just no money there anymore.
Yeah.
So like there's no incentive to create content that gets that click. What we are in instead is a closer relationship with our audiences. I think podcasts are great. Our show, your show, people are listening all the time and like understand that this is this is a deep relationship we have with our friends who are doing these podcasts or who are writing these newsletters. And if you can get to a level of like, not mass, but a high number
For sure.
Of deeply engaged audiences, you're going to have something there that a brand will want to collaborate with. We do a lot of collaborations at Taste, and I'm really grateful for that. And they come to us because we have a wonderful audience of people who listen or read our stuff all the time. And instead of trying to go to the mass and everyday for everyone kind of consumer, we are focusing on like our audience who we know and what they want.
You do it well because it can feel like really on the nose or really like grating sometimes with some shows. I like the way that you guys integrate it in a way that feels organic, natural. It's actually something that people who care about food listen to.
Thanks, bud.
Really interesting clarification though, because when I heard that, what I heard was like, oh, numbers don't matter anymore. No, like the wideness of the audience. And to some extent, you're saying that. You're basically saying like quality matters as much as quantity this day, sometimes more. Not that quantity doesn't necessarily matter, though.
Agree. And I think that the quality part is what drives the deep engagement, but not with everybody.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I think that there are certain, I would say, partnerships that need that super wide audience, but like for most media brands, you have to have a really strong point of view that that a partner would want to align with, so to speak. And so I just think Caper and these news publications are not working in millions. That's not the unit.
Yeah,
it's in thousands and tens of thousands, and that to me is the future of lots of forms of media.
Makes sense. As we are just becoming a society that's super fragmented.
Yeah.
Like you're going to find like kind of like your tribes. I hate that word, but that's kind of what it is.
Let me ask you a quick question. Do you think food is truly one of the only monocultures today? What do you think when I say that? What do you think?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's been covered that way.
Yeah.
And I think they still make food TV like that in that way.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, everybody's going to gravitate towards Stanley Tucci eating pasta in Italy. But no, like there's a huge portion of the food population that don't care about it.
Yeah.
If anything, I feel like the failure is to continue to see it as a monoculture.
Interesting take. I think we're both agree.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'll take the hit on the framing. What I'm saying is that you walk into a room and like not a restaurant, but like a room, like your work. And chances are like some people are going to want to talk about movies. Some people are going to talk about film. Some people or music. Some people are going to want to talk about
sports,
religion, sports, whatever. Yeah. But like,
damn, who's talking about religion in your workplace?
You know, some people like to talk about the Bible study. But like, everyone wants to talk about food in some way.
You're actually super right.
And that's kind of what I mean. Like food is like everyone is going to watch the Padma show. Everyone is going to have a cookbook that they are thinking about buying for a friend or themselves. They're going to maybe listen to podcasts. They're going to maybe watch a TV show, watch Culinary Class Wars.
It's so true. You're absolutely right about that, actually. And I'm thinking about this birthday party I went to just over the weekend. And somebody asked me what I did. And that's like I can go in two directions when I answer that.
Yeah.
I either answer with my day job, which is doing PR.
Yeah.
Or I can answer with like, I do food stuff.
Dude.
For half the people, I kind of A/B tested it this time.
Yeah.
I did like the PR thing first, just like crickets, right?
Yeah.
you mentioned, I didn't even mention food. Somebody actually like saw my stuff and like was like, oh, hi, I follow your stuff. And that came up at the party.
That's nice.
And so that unlocked an entire new level of conversation. Everybody was talking about their favorite pizzas.
There you go.
Yeah.
You answered it. And like, it's like a great litmus test is a party, is a backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
By the way, LA 28, you did that.
I mean, I don't know that I want full credit for that right now.
You did that, my friend. That's great.
Anyways, that's really interesting. Well, look, before we get to our signature event, which is Chef's Kiss Big Miss, last thing I wanted to ask you about was Postcard.
Yeah, right.
This app that
cool.
you talked about on your podcast with David Cho of Grantland fame, of all things.
Dude, I love that you listened to the episode and we're going to talk about Postcard because, you know, David Cho is like kind of an under the radar media executive and a good friend and a great guy and like really smart. And Postcard is his new app that I think is really relevant to listeners of the show. You know, David launched Grantland. He started The All, which was this cool weirdo publication that really transformed the way blogging was done, especially for women's blogs with a hairpin. Really terrific work. But Postcard is kind of like a version of Foursquare or Swarm, which was an app that was launched in the early 2000s. It's essentially a way that you can log your locations and share your locations and input your Instagram and really keep track of places you have been and places you want to go.
Yeah.
And I think that he's cracked the code on a few things. The UX is really elegant. And I like the spirit of it. I think it's like really, there's some really great contributors on it. So.
Without having to call yourself a mayor too. He's done it.
I am still the mayor of so many places.
Really?
Yeah. I still use Swarm, by the way, more than Postcard. I'm sorry, David.
Interesting. The thing that I think is really interesting about Postcard is, obviously I'll be honest, I have very little interest in using it as like a logging where I go app.
Yeah.
The discovery element is interesting, right? Like, because I did peruse a little bit, and you can find restaurants that people have talked about. The thing I think could be a huge unlock for a place like Postcard, what I love about it is when you click on a restaurant, it gives you all the articles underneath that people have written about.
Exactly.
Like Eater, The Infatuation, and maybe Taste. Well, offering its API there at some point. But like, certainly they can have the LA countdowns anytime they want.
Definitely.
But to me, that's actually less of a discovery app play and almost more like a future of food media play.
Yeah.
Because I kind of think like, couldn't you see a world where they start integrating their own reviews and stuff like that into that? And they sort of become like a aggregator for every sort of media article that's ever been written out of
that is the goal, for it to be the place where you can really get this deep intelligence about a restaurant or a bar or wherever. Yeah, you're gonna have great. You mentioned that all the earned media articles, all the social media. Yeah. So what's your consulting fee?
Nothing. For them, I'll do it for free.
What are we talking?
Honestly, just take me out for like one of those burgers in New York that they only have 20 of at the bar. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Take me out for one of those.
No, it's a Postcard is really cool, man.
Yeah, well, speaking of really cool, everybody go listen to Matt's show, because these are the kinds of interviews you get over there, not the bullshit we do on this podcast.
Oh, no, brother.
As I ask all our guests, Matt, are you down for a rapid round of Chef's Kiss Big Miss?
Yeah, I want to crack this NA beer. Easy does it.
Do it, please.
I'm going to crack it.
I've been drinking on it. I've been drinking it the entire time. They're not a sponsor, but I hope they could be one day. And it's a
0.5, I must say. So if I get a little bit wild here on the 0.5.
I might go back and ask you that Noma question again.
It's good. Yeah.
It's very good.
Can we shout out Kong? We got to shout out Kong for hooking us up.
Please.
Yeah.
This was provided to us by Kong, our friend Kong. Who is working with La Sorteds here.
Yeah.
Really good guy.
Yeah.
So shout out Kong.
Yeah, really, really great guy. Appreciate it.
All right, Chef's Kiss Big Miss. Here we go. First one. We always start with a little bit of an easy one, okay?
Okay.
Inglewood's The Serving Spoon was awarded the prestigious James Beard Foundation's America's Classics Award. Now serving the community for more than 4 decades, the award announcement described the restaurant as an anchor of LA's Black community. The restaurant is cherished for its joyful hospitality and as a place where all can gather and feel at home, the foundation stated. Matt, obviously The Serving Spoon being recognized is a chef's kiss.
Yeah.
What I actually wanted to ask you about are these legacy awards, like Hall of Fame awards. Are they just an obvious chef's kiss where we're giving flowers to restaurants that have been doing it for a long time? Or, hot take, are they a big miss, a cop-out for these awards bodies and media publications to not judge these old restaurants, by modern standards?
Wow, I think it's a lot to unpack. I mean, so I was a
Including my
judge.
trauma,
I was a
yeah.
James Beard judge for 4 years from New York State, and these legacy awards would come up in meetings, and I have to say that the Beards, and this is for James Beard, correct? Right?
Yeah.
So they really look at this closely. I think the way they do it is every 4 to 5 years they will highlight a region. So it's not like every year it's the country. So like this was one of the 4 or 5 year cycles for California. A restaurant I really love in Kingston called Ang's is also on this year's honorary list, and I thought that was amazing. A big chef kiss for doing this. I think these restaurants are oftentimes extremely local and under the radar. They're not the ones that, you know, you're gonna get on even Food Network, but of course the New York Times and places aren't covering them. And there's definitely like a legacy if you've been in business for more than a decade, 2 decades,
Yeah.
you deserve this recognition. I think it is important, though. You bring up a great point for publications and podcasts to not only cover the new.
Yeah.
It is our job to cover restaurants that have been open 2 to 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they should be covering more legacy restaurants as well as giving out these awards.
You just gave me a great idea for my countdown next year. What if I do 100 restaurants that have been open for 5 to 10 years?
I mean, buddy. I mean, listen, if you say 5 years,
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to really narrow your pool.
No, I mean, especially in LA these days, like there's, it's been rough out here, bro.
Yeah, I know.
All right, we're giving this a chef's kiss. Yeah, I have feelings about this, but our listeners know what they are.
Okay.
In Interview Mag, Paul Carmichael of Kabbalah
Yeah.
highlighted how the black cod is the restaurant's signature dish. In doing so, though, Carmichael took subtle shade at the New York Times and review culture. We all know how media works, he says. The New York Times wrote about the goat dish, and now everybody likes the goat. The goat is a great dish, but this is the day and age where people don't really form their own opinions. Instead of having conversation with a server or cook, they look online to see what they should order. Matt, Carmichael's take on how the media shapes what we order, chef's kiss or big miss?
Major miss for Paul Carmichael. Huge miss. I'll preface this. I love Paul. He's a really, really nice guy. Also, I'm going to preface this that this was an interview in Interview Magazine. I have no idea the context of this interview. That's why we love podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, I love print, but like, there's no way you can like misquote someone in a podcast. It's literally there. So I have no idea what the context of this quote was. I'll just say this about Paul's comments. If you're lucky enough to have a dish where people will frequently or ad nauseum write about that dish, you should be thankful. I'm sorry. And I think that saying that you would rather have the black cod be the one that everyone writes about and the people are just followers in the media, valid points, Paul. Just don't share them, perhaps, because it just doesn't come off great. I think that there's a lot of restaurants who struggle to get even an inch of press.
For sure.
And I bet that black cod is delicious. And I think he is such a talented chef. And again, I have no idea the context of this conversation, but I think like we do copy each other a lot in the media. We are drawn towards the it dish.
Yeah.
I think the best journalists are the ones who maybe write a line about the it dish, but then find their own opinion.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with having one dish really excel over the others.
I like to take of it as like a big miss from a restaurateur's perspective.
Yeah.
From a public's perspective, though, I'm thinking it's a chef's kiss, brother.
Okay.
Because like I am guilty of this.
Yeah.
I went to a restaurant recently where I ordered everything without consulting any reviews beforehand. And I had a great meal, but then afterwards I left and I read the Bill Addison review and I noticed I ordered a completely different spread than Bill did.
Yeah.
And his review was glowing.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, completely robbed. I was like, oh my God, did I even really eat there?
Yeah.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
But I had to like check myself,
Yeah.
So I there's something to it there. I maybe it's just I'm guilty of this, is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, this is why you got to read your critics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Read your critics.
Read your critics. Read your critics, people.
Yeah.
All right, chef's kiss. No, big miss from Matt, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're one chef's kiss, one big miss.
Yeah.
We'll see how this ends. Restaurateur and Substacker Brooks Wrights shared the following on Substack this week. He says, reservation platform wars are underway. We were offered $50K to switch from Resi to a competing platform. We're a small fry, relatively speaking, so I can't help but wonder what kind of checks some of these bigger fish are netting. For the time being, we are sticking with Resi, he says. Matt, my question for you is actually about the concept of restaurants having to choose one platform for their restaurants. Do you view being locked into one platform as a chef's kiss or a big miss?
Well, I'll preface it a couple things. This was a good one. I saw this in the lineup. I was like, man, I have a lot to say about this. You know, Brooks is a friend of mine. He's been on the podcast. Rezi's a partner of taste. I love Rezi. I've been a user since almost day one.
Fair.
And I think over the other guys, there's definitely a sense of style points and really deep love of restaurants with those restaurants. Yeah. And I just think that there is, when you look at a Rezi restaurant, you know what you're getting, and there's something about it that feels chef driven and high quality. So I think that Brooks's point is that he's maybe frustrated with some of the big checks being thrown into the world around reservations and about these platforms and the competition amongst them. I think that I'm reading that from the quote you sent, versus not being into picking one or the other. That's just kind of like what I'm reading between the lines. I think that again, I love Rezi, so I'm not quite familiar with how they work with their partners on that level, but I think that you probably, from a logistical point of view, to have multiple platforms seems difficult. So you kind of already have to pick one. So pick the one that aligns with you.
For sure.
Again, I think Rezi aligns with a lot of my own values, so I like that platform.
I think that look, I read the same thing in Mark's comments. I'm just something I've been thinking about a lot actually recently. Probably more than I should. You know, I lie awake at night thinking about this question, but I always wonder, like, how can restaurants reach more people? Especially because, like, restaurants in Los Angeles struggle to do that sometimes. And to me, it just seems like being locked into one platform, because a lot of people I know find their restaurants through the platform.
Exactly.
Like Rezi does a great job of curating restaurants. Yeah. And they do a great job of writing about those restaurants.
Yeah, that's a great point. The editorial around Rezi, there's nothing like it around on the other platforms. I mean, they have the incredible work, and like I read those hit lists and I love the descriptions, and that is such added value for Rezi when you can get that editorial point of view with it too.
And Open Table's doing it too now, but obviously,
are they?
Well, they're trying, but like they're for example, they're really going hard on social media. They have Open Table. The Open Table LA account does really good work actually, but obviously social media is one thing. You can't use it as easily to find restaurants unless you're using Postcard, of course. And it just strikes me as, like, you know, logistically I take your point, but if there was a way to like consolidate different platforms from the restaurant side, you'd want to reach as many people as possible, right?
100%. I think that you have your platform of choice, and you have your earned media strategy, and you have your organic media strategy, and you have your social media strategy. It's part of the marketing plan of your restaurant, if it's either the chef or if you're lucky enough to have a marketing director. So there's like a lot of different ways that you can market your restaurant. It's not just on the platform. I will say this, I recently had Flynn McGarry on the podcast, and we talked about Rezi in passing, and something about Rezi and just the platforms is it's as much of a back office than a front office. Yeah. And he was telling us about how he was using Rezi as a way to organize his flow, and how it easily was able to change the next turn based on the pacing of his tasting menu. So for tasting menu restaurants, they really rely on that technology to be able to slide in, depending on the pacing and the courses, the table selection. So I know, like, some listeners like, duh, Matt, you like, obviously we have this, like, we know what Aloha is back in the day, but some may not know that these platforms actually help these restaurants make sure your meal, your dinner is being served like on time, essentially.
Yeah. Hey, that's huge. The best is when you don't realize that when it's all happening, right? The worst is to be asked to leave your table because you've overstayed your welcome.
Yeah, what do you think about that? So when you're asked to leave, do you think they should give you something to ask you to leave? Do you think that is their job?
I think so, because basically this happened to us recently. I won't shame the restaurant, but
you can. No, we're pro restaurant here. No shaming. No shaming.
I'll tell you offline, or I'll bleep it out. But they get to us at the end of the meal, and they're like, you know, it's been 90 minutes. You have to leave. Unfortunately, no, this isn't like, unfortunately, we can't offer you dessert tonight because you have no time. You've been here for 90 minutes. It wasn't so much that we had like overstayed our welcome that bothered me. It was how it was.
Oh yeah,
done.
that's a super bad move.
Like,
poor move. 90 minutes is not enough time.
No, and it's like, you know what? I would in that situation be like, can we, have you order dessert at the bar or something like that? Like, just
did they have the physical space to offer you a seat somewhere else?
It kind of looked like yes.
Oh my
honestly.
gosh, yeah.
It kind of looked like maybe yes.
Now, if you're after the 2-hour mark, that's where it gets gray. And beyond 2.5 hours, you absolutely should not be at that table.
Right.
90 minutes, unless it's like omakase and like it's like a 25, 30 minute experience. So it's like a coursed out thing. And also like the check average. Like
it was a high check average.
Wow.
And not just that, but like not everything came out fast.
Yeah.
Like we waited a long time for our drinks.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where if service had gone flawlessly and we actually had overstayed our welcome, I would have understood.
Yeah.
But it felt like the waiter was punishing us for him doing his job poorly, basically.
So for you GMs out there, I hope this is not giving you PTSD and making you feel agita because of our comments, because I know it's a hard job. I feel like you have to break so many great conversations up when getting people out of the seats.
And to be clear, we were nice. Like we
sure you were.
Didn't throw a fit or anything. We got the fuck out of there and left a good tip.
Wait, when was the last time you threw a fit in a restaurant? It had to. I mean, like
I have never thrown a fit in a restaurant. I cannot say the same for my wife. If you count her as an extension of me, then
she
yes,
is.
I have thrown it.
Like, was it over behavior or quality of food or?
It was over this exact same situation, but during the COVID era, when it was even shorter, like stints at tables.
Yeah, sure.
Just because she worked as a host at a restaurant in New York City, so she feels like she knows the drill.
Yeah.
And when something bad happened to us at a restaurant here, she didn't throw a fit in the restaurant, but she started writing the Yelp review in the restaurant, which to me is...
I've done that.
You have?
I've literally written the Google review in the restaurant.
No way.
Yeah, I've absolutely done that. I know it's crazy. What restaurant did you work at in New York?
She worked at a restaurant called Rosemary's.
Rosemary's.
Yeah.
Cool.
In the West Village. Maybe circa 2013.
Volume.
Yes.
Volume.
High volume at that time.
Yeah. Pop in West Village.
Stories of like mistakenly not knowing to seat Chelsea Clinton at tables. So she wasn't perfect.
That happens, But what an era. It's 2013 West Village. Yeah.
I hear great things. I wasn't there.
Oh man.
It was before she met me and I changed her life forever.
You changed it, yeah.
Last one for you, Matt. You're doing great on this job. So on this game
is so much fun. Love this.
I don't want it to end.
Yeah.
Somebody called the Tomboy, and I think it was on X, posts on social media a meme that states the following: the pit, but instead of a hospital, it's a night shift at a Waffle House. Matt, is that a genius idea for a show, A Chef's Kiss, or a derivative big miss?
Horrible miss, derivative, and unless it's like situational comedy genre, which is not the pit, because they're using the conversation in pit, but because I could see like satirical or something like light comedy, 30-minute genre working, like The Company or the one. What's the one?
Studio?
No, the one where they worked at like the Best Buy.
Oh, the Superstore?
Superstore. Like I could see that being a superstore. My point is that I think Waffle House, great place, like institutional place. I used to work at WWE and they used to call it Awful House. All the people who used to travel, they weren't fans of it. I personally like it. It's just like if you're gonna do a restaurant show and commit all that time to write about restaurant characters, the food should be interesting.
Yeah.
And the food at Waffle House is not interesting, and there should be just something a little deeper on the culinary side. It doesn't have to be a fancy bear-like restaurant, but it could be something where I think like if you want to really do a cool like day in the life of a restaurant, 7 hours or 8 hours in a restaurant, whatever it may be, I think food should be a little more of the focus.
Fair. I thought this was, what this is? Maybe this is an SNL sketch.
Oh yeah, it's complete SNL sketch.
Great SNL sketch.
Yeah.
Do you watch The Pit?
Religious. I mean, it's such a good show, and I love that it's an LA-based production.
Yeah.
I'm going Bellany on this thing.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I feel
seriously.
like keep these jobs in LA. And
look out, Puck.
Yeah, no, it's a really good show, and obviously I'm not the only one to think that. And I like that genre too, where it's like based in a set.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool way to do TV, where you don't have to like leave. It's like pure talent of the writers and actors.
It is.
Yeah.
It's scary good talent. I just can't do medical shows, man.
Oh, you can't?
No, I just get too freaked out. It's not like blood or anything.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
get anxious.
It's a nervy show. It's sad. It's really, there's a lot of heart in that show.
Yeah. Well, Matt, we've unfortunately come to the end of our time.
Oh, wow,
But
damn.
I don't ask Saul this because he's on every week, but I'm going to ask you because I ask all our guests. What are 3 LA restaurants you're loving right now? Maybe in your case, let's make it more like, what are 3 restaurants that you wish you had in New York City?
Oh my gosh, this is such a good question. I mean, I think Soban is like truly one of LA's best restaurants. Ganjang-gaejan, which is marinated Korean crab, is one of my favorite dishes around, and I just love that the hospitality, mother-daughter duo running it. So that's one. My second restaurant, it's hard because we were talking about that little Scientology pocket. I was gonna say Found, but I think Safi's.
Okay.
We don't have like we have some great Israeli Mediterranean cuisine in New York, but we don't have that hospitality, and we certainly don't have the duo there.
Yeah.
You don't have Ari and Genevieve. Ori and Genevieve, like those guys are so unique to LA. They have great restaurants, but Safi's to me is, I just think like you can you splash out and have a big group dinner there. You can have a really quick weeknight at the bar or outdoors on the patio. And it's the kind of food I always want to personally eat all the time. And they are like, they're so detail oriented with the sourcing of products. And you just know the invention. Like I haven't been to Bestia in years. And I need to go back because like I feel like that's just like such a successful restaurant group when you can just have these restaurants open for so long.
So Safi's over Bavel?
So yeah, definitely. I don't like Bavel. I've been a couple times. I never really was feeling the large format there, and I don't know. The room is not for me. That at least this is like going back a few years. Like just a little. It feels a little big for me.
More difficult to fit into New York, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And so I think also like we don't have a major domo.
Okay.
We have like obviously it's where Momofuku was born, was New York, but the size and scale of Major Domo, and Jude is such a talented chef. I just love his cooking, and he's so underrated. And I think my meals at Major Domo have always been exceptional and really memorable. And I feel it's one of those restaurants that maybe LA possibly takes for granted, maybe
100%.
not. It's really good, man.
I haven't been since my engagement party, which was many years ago.
Ooh, that's a fun place to do that, yeah.
I don't remember much of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it soju or was it shots?
It was actually my buddy brought a bottle of champagne.
Oh, champagne will do that for you.
Yeah.
The brain melter, the mind melter,
That's what happened.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to go coffee with this one.
Okay. You're a big coffee.
Yeah, I am, and I think LA's got the greatest coffee scene in the country. It's just the way. Of course, I think your weather has something to do with it. So many great cold beverages coming out of LA. Oh, yeah. Nicely Able. So anything Nicely Able has done in LA.
I've never been.
Nicely is a barista. What is he doing right now?
Oh.
I feel like he's in Venice, I think, right now. Oh, he's at Hooked in Venice.
Okay.
So Hooked in Venice. Anything that Nicely Able is doing with coffee is like, we don't have a Nicely Able in New York. So
interesting.
I just really appreciate his work as a barista, as somebody who cares deeply about coffee. And I wish we had him here. So.
I should get Nicely on the pod, man. We have not done a coffee episode.
You should talk to him. He's a really cool guy, and like we'll doing great work out there in Venice.
Because you brought up Soban, I'm going to finish this episode by telling you my Soban story.
Please, yeah.
Ready? So I used to run social media for a congressional candidate down in Orange County.
Yeah.
And
losing?
We actually, we won.
Oh, you won.
We won, dude. We flipped the district for the first time in 20 years.
Can we, sorry, 2 minutes. Yeah. When you win an election of that history.
Yeah.
And you get the like call from the, we get whoever it may be.
The registrar or what?
The registrar or like your pollsters.
Yeah.
Like, what does that feel like? Because honestly, I like have campaigned for candidates. I canvass. I'm active that way. And of course I have it's like sports, but like you're working like so much, especially the last couple months.
For sure. No, it's that's why I was addicted to it, is because I'm a huge like sports guy and I'm a huge like, competition guy.
Yeah.
It's the exact same feeling, but it's like you're on the team. Imagine if like, you're a huge, I don't know, Dodger fan.
Yeah.
Seems right since we're in the Sordits.
Yeah.
and instead of being the guy watching, you are Clayton Kershaw or something.
Yeah.
So that's what it feels like to be in that moment. It's your victory, and you celebrate it like you just scored a goal. So it's a great, incredible feeling. Unfortunately, I've lost way more than I've won, and that's horrible.
That's kind of the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
Usually, kind of always. Like, there's a few campaigners who win every time.
For sure. And especially at the outset, when you're trying to make a name for yourself, you kind of have to like hitch your wagon to a lot of losing candidates.
Yeah.
But that also is fun too, because it becomes like a Veep kind of situation in and of itself. That's a different story.
Yeah.
But my Soban story, I was running social media for this candidate, which means that on Instagram, I had to toggle between the accounts, right? Dangerous
I
game.
see where this is going.
I'm at Soban, and I'm eating the raw crab, the fresh live crab for the first time. I'm documenting every inch of it. I'm like, this is so fucking cool. I'm finally eating this legendary dish. It's nighttime. My wife and I are driving to Moshti Malone's to get some ice cream afterwards, and I get a call from the campaign manager. It's like 11 p.m. I'm like, oh, fuck, something hitting the fan of the campaign trail. He calls me. I pick up on speaker because I'm driving, and he goes, hey, buddy, do you have live crab for dinner? You guessed it. You knew where it was going, but I posted it to the candidate's account. Needless to say, the candidate did not end up hiring me for the DC office, but we did have a good laugh about it.
You did have a good laugh about it, and honestly, those OC voters, they saw that the candidate was up on Western having Ganjang. There's probably some contingency of Korean voters who are like, my guy is with us.
I think so. Actually, there's a big Korean population down
there. There is, of course. So, like, I mean, listen, if I were you, I was like, yeah, of course I had crab. What do you think? Like, our candidates want to see Ganjang at one of the best spots in LA.
Yeah. It means he knows what he's doing and he cares about the people. I actually owned it in the end, and I bought everybody on the campaign crab keychains. Anyways.
Is he still in Congress?
No, he lasted one term.
Oh, man.
The district flipped right back.
Epstein?
Well, not Epstein, but maybe not enough live crab content on the next campaign, which I was not on.
All right, man. Sorry for that one and done candidate, wherever you may be, but you hired the wrong guy. I'll say that.
Yep, you did. Matt, so nice having you on.
Luca,
brother.
this has been an honor. Loved chatting with you.
We'll have to have you back on. That's the
I'm
only
happy.
Thing. Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks to our guests for making the time for us. As always, we'll be back with another epic episode next week, but if you're looking for me in the meantime, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Thread, YouTube, even our website at the LA Countdown. You can also find us on Instagram at It's Acquired Taste and at acquiredtastemedia.com. If you like what you heard here today, dear listener, please consider going to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating or review, even a follow. That really helps us. It means the world to us. Thank you so much in advance. A reminder that this episode of the LA Food Podcast was brought to you by our friends at MVA.wine. If you do want to discover some truly incredible wines you won't find in stores, check them out at MVA.wine and use code LAFood for $50 off your first collection. And remember, that offer is only for the first 20 listeners. Enjoy!